Welcome to the Smart Business Show, and today we're going to talk about routines and how crucial they are. So just looking at a client over on Slack over there, and we were talking about how many hours a day they work, and he did really good at 9 hours, but I know in previous weeks it's been like 12-hour days, and the fact is you're probably not getting much done in 12 hours. Certainly not 12 hours worth of work. So I'll explain my routine. Most days, Tuesday being an exception, recording on Tuesday, so today is an exception, and Fridays being an exception because I coach all day on Fridays. But my days start at 6 a.m. Actually, I start working at 6 a.m. They actually start at 4:45. I get up to walk the dog, eat breakfast. 6 a.m. I'm at a coffee shop, and I work from 6 to 9. And the first thing I do is actually read. And the reason I do that is because it lets me start my day focused on something that's just for me and on building my business. I read for an hour, and if I'm getting close to finishing a book, it might go a little longer, but I read for about an hour. And I have some music going in my headphones if the coffee shop's a little loud and distracting, and if it's not, I just listen to the noise that's around. I use a paper notebook from Leuchtturm 1917. I'll get it, it's behind me. There you go. For those on video, you can see it's nice and pink because I let my daughter pick the color often. She picks pink or purple. And that's what I do 3 mornings a week. That is just what I do. That's how I start. If my Friday coaching schedule allows it, I start it on the same way on Fridays. My Tuesday coaching schedule or Tuesday call schedule usually does not allow it. After that, I take 3 hours off. I go for a run. I hang out with the kids maybe. I go for a run and hang out with the kids. But I have 3 hours where I'm doing nothing with work from 9 to noon. At noon, I go back and I work from noon to 3. And that's my day. I call it at 3. I very rarely work past 3. I just call it a day. Now, that routine allows me to do a few things. If you were to look at my Pomodoro schedule, because I use a Pomodoro timer, then I usually have 5.5 hours of actual productive focus time. And how many hours did I work? So do the math. 6 to 9, noon to 3, 6 hours. I worked 6 hours. And that's it. If you were to look at my Fitbit, which I wear, you'll see that there's a lot of activity in the morning as I go walk for the dog, as I go take the dog out for a walk. Then 9 to noon, there's a bunch of activity again as I'm like hanging out with the kids or I'm going for a run or something like that. And then from like noon to 3, there's almost no activity. And I get up and I go to the bathroom, I refill my water, but that's it. I don't move. I stay focused. I use stuff like Self-Control, which I've talked about before. It's an app for Mac that lets shut off domains if I need it. I currently am not suffering from distraction and finding it hard, so I'm not using it. That's something, if you are suffering from distraction, it will block domains for you. And that's not what most people do. I just talked to someone today, and he gets up and he gets the kids out to school. That's his routine. And he does email next. And he says he feels so scattered. He just can't focus in the mornings, but he starts with email. And then he picks up some small tasks because he needs to warm up. And then after lunch, he finally gets onto the big, hard projects of the day. I think that's a terrible routine. I think it's a terrible one, mainly because you start scattered. You start with email, scattered, and as he said, fires. Now, it's funny, when I asked him, like, when was the last fire? He was like, And he opened his email, he started looking through all the emails, and he couldn't find one for weeks and weeks and weeks. So really, there are no fires. There are almost never any fires. First off, get people out of your email anyways, but secondly, there's no fires. Get your current projects into a project management system and deal with that. And then that's what his day was, like I said. Email, and he had to warm up because he felt scattered, and then the big stuff. Lots of research shows that you are better creatively in the morning. You have more sticking power, more staying power. Not necessarily saying early, although I like early, but you have more sticking and staying power first thing in the morning. Your brain basically isn't tired yet, just like a muscle. Your brain is not tired yet. Now, notice I have a 3-hour break in the middle of the day, and people think, what? How do you do that? First off, it lets me run, especially coming up in the nice weather, in the sun, and not in the rain. I live, outside of Vancouver, so coming up in September, October, it's going to start raining, and it's going to rain till, I don't know, next September, I guess, but for quite a while. That lets me run, not in the dark. It also gives me a creative break. It lets me take that brain that's been focused for 3 hours, focused really hard on, say, reading, and then usually one client for 2 hours, or one writing project for 2 hours, and it lets me recharge it, replenish it. I'm off doing something that is unrelated to work. And then my second 3 hours, I can really focus. I have a brain that is fresh again, that is feeling like it has more juice to go. That's how I do it. Now, the other routine I have is on Tuesdays and Fridays, I don't even bother with code. I can't write code. Occasionally, I was talking to a client this morning. There was a spelling mistake, and so I fixed it. But other than that, I don't write any code. I do email. I only really do emails on Tuesdays and Fridays. Unless there's some break, I may check it on another day, but that's at the end of the day after my tasks are done. So if you want to really be productive, there's a few things you need to do. You need to design a schedule that is actually useful. Don't start your day on someone else's terms. Don't start your day with fires. There's almost never any anyways. Start it on your terms. Maybe it's not an hour of reading for you, although I suggest an hour of reading. I strongly suggest an hour of reading is useful for you. You need to do it. You need to read if you want to win, you need to read. You need to start on your schedule. You need to decide the night before what tasks you're going to work on. You need to decide on Fridays or at the end of your week what you're going to work on mainly for the next week. You need to set a routine. Do the same thing every day, because that is going to train your body. You will be trained to be productive at those times. Like I said last week's podcast, I don't know, a few ago, there's no such thing as trucker's block. Set a routine, take a break, creative break, go for a walk, go do something else. Get outside, get away from a screen, use some break, right? Play with the kids, build Lego, who cares? Color. Right, I showed my daughter how to use Pixelmator on my iPad and let her color with my Apple Pencil because she thought it was cool. But I hung out with her. I hung out with her and watched the other two kids. And then get back at your work later for some real productive time, but focus during that time. If you're going to run this schedule and keep doing checking the social media and checking the Slacks and all the other stuff and hopping in and out of email, you're going to be like, why did Curtis's schedule not work? It doesn't work for me. But it's because you did it wrong. So don't do it wrong. Keep focused. Set up a schedule and start the day on your terms. Thanks for watching.